Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff recently dubbed Max Verstappen's new F1 record for the most successive wins as a Wikipedia statistic that nobody reads. This left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth. Damon Hill has spoken against it, saying that such a comment from the typically sportsmanlike Toto Wolff was a bit ungracious. Max Verstappen etched his name into Formula One history at the Italian Grand Prix, as the Dutchman led his Red Bull teammate, Sergio Perez, across the finish line to clinch his 10th consecutive Grand Prix victory. Verstappen's remarkable achievement of 10 successive Grand Prix victories surpassed Sebastian Vettel's previous record of 9, which he had set back in 2013. Notably, even during Mercedes' dominant era, they couldn't achieve a streak like this, with Nico Rosberg's longest consecutive wins being 7, and Lewis Hamilton accomplishing 5 consecutive wins twice. In a season where many rival team bosses acknowledged that Max Verstappen might not be receiving the recognition he deserves, Toto Wolff's recent comments appeared to cast some doubt on the significance of the 25-year-old's latest record. For those of you that missed it, these were his exact words while talking to Sky Sports at Monza. "It is not something that would be important for me, those numbers. It is for Wikipedia, and nobody reads that anyway. Our situation was a little bit different, because we had 2 guys fighting against each other within the team." Toto Wolff's comments, especially following Lewis Hamilton's statement that his teammates have consistently been stronger than Max Verstappen's, have caught the attention of many. Damon Hill noted that such dismissive comments are uncharacteristic of the usually composed Austrian, saying this to Sky Sports News. "It sounded a bit churlish and not very gracious, and unlike Toto, because he's usually very sporting." Hill blames Toto Wolff's unusual comments to the emotional toll of experiencing significant losses, especially given Red Bull's dominance this season, having secured 14 wins in all 14 races so far. "I think he's hurting a bit now. They know what it's like to be dominated, and they didn't even get on the podium. They seem to be a bit stymied, and can't seem to work out what to do. But who can? Ferrari did a great job in Monza. It suited their car, I think. But it seems like everywhere we go, the Red Bull has got the upper hand, and we've just gotta sit and watch this unfold. Can Red Bull win every race in the season? That's not beyond the realms of possibility." But it appears now that Toto is trying to right his wrongs, because in the wake of his Wikipedia comments thrown at Max Verstappen, he has come to the Dutchman's defense. Toto said that Formula One should resist any urges to change the rules in order to counter Red Bull's dominance. He showed concern about the sport moving towards a WWE-style approach. Over the past 2 years, the Milton Keynes-based team has emerged as the leading force in Formula One, with Max Verstappen securing consecutive titles. In 2022, Verstappen set a new record for the highest number of race wins in a single year, tallying 15 victories. This achievement surpassed the previous record held by the legendary German duo of Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel. The 2023 season has continued in the same vein for Red Bull, with Max Verstappen appearing to be on a smooth path towards securing a 3rd consecutive Formula One title, all at the young age of 25. Red Bull showed an incredible adaptability to the new regulations introduced at the beginning of 2022, outperforming every other team on the grid. This shift in performance dynamics saw Mercedes relinquish their long-held dominance that had persisted for much of the prior decade. The extent of Red Bull's dominance has sparked discussions about the need to adjust the rules in an effort to foster a more competitive championship. Lewis Hamilton in particular has been vocal about this issue, but Toto Wolff said that although it can be frustrating to witness Red Bull's dominance, rule makers cannot single out a specific team for targeted rule changes. He told reporters, "As long as you comply to the regulations, technical, sporting and financial, you just need to say well done. It is up to us to catch up, and if that takes a long time, then it takes a long time. I remember people crying foul when it was us. Entertainment follows sport, and not the other way around. We cannot be WWE, scripted content. We don't want to be scripted content." And while talking about how his team fared over the Italian Grand Prix, Toto Wolff sang praises to Lewis Hamilton for taking responsibility in his role in the Oscar Piastri crash. He believes that the other drivers tend to complain and avoid penalties, but Hamilton's willingness to acknowledge his actions sets a positive example for everyone on the grid. As the Italian Grand Prix entered its final 10 laps, Hamilton found himself in a competitive battle with the McLarens for position. While attempting to make a move on Piastri into the chicane, Hamilton made contact with the McLaren instead. As a consequence of the incident, Piastri suffered a damaged front wing, which needed a pit stop for repairs. Meanwhile, Hamilton received a 5-second penalty for his role in the collision. Following their tangle, Lewis Hamilton took the initiative to personally apologize to Oscar Piastri. He acknowledged his responsibility for the contact that occurred during the race. While talking to the media after, the 7-time world champion said, "It was important because it was obviously my fault and it naturally wasn't intentional. Got up alongside and just misjudged the gap that I had to the right. Clipped him and it could happen at any time. But I knew shortly afterwards it must have been my fault, so I wanted to make sure he knew that it wasn't intentional. That's what gentlemen do, right?" Piastri graciously accepted the apology, saying that he couldn't have asked for anything more, even if the incident did have a horrible impact on his race. He ultimately finished in 12th place, outside the points, while Hamilton managed to overtake both Lando Norris and Alex Albon. Hamilton's drive allowed him to establish a buffer to offset his penalty. Toto Wolff said later that the penalty was deserved by his favorite driver. The Mercedes team boss said, "Yes, that was a mistake, and there are 5-second penalties for that as the menu says. These things happen. It was hard racing to overtake here, and we've seen a few of these. It was justified." Toto Wolff commended his driver for extending an apology to Piastri, emphasizing that it demonstrated his sportsmanship, which he thought of as different from the behavior of most drivers on the grid. This comes in light of the recent news that Hamilton downplayed Verstappen's dominance, disregarding it as nothing special. Wolff said, "Lewis is very sportsmanlike with these things, and he is the only one that I see out there admitting, saying that he's wrong. We just had a chat and he said, I didn't see him on the right, and that is on me. And I think that kind of sportsmanship is what you need to admire with him. Pretty much everyone else is complaining and moaning just to try to not get a penalty." Hamilton's teammate, George Russell, also faced a 5-second penalty for gaining an advantage by going off the track. After his pit stop, he found himself in a battle with Esteban Ocon and attempted to make a move on the inside, resulting in a side-by-side situation as they entered the first chicane. Russell, despite his penalty, still had a pep in his step as he summed up his race, expressing hope for a more competitive performance in the upcoming race in Singapore. He said, "5th place was probably the maximum today, and I think we'd have taken that result before the weekend. We've outpaced McLaren and Aston Martin here, but unfortunately, Ferrari were just a step ahead of us here, and then Red Bull at front. They were so fast in the high-speed corners today, I just couldn't keep Perez behind any longer than I did in the early laps. I'm looking forward to heading to Singapore next. We were competitive there last year, and I think that our car will be better suited to that circuit, so hopefully we can fight a bit closer to the front than we managed here." Wolff believed that Russell deserved the punishment. He shared his insights with Sky Sports regarding the incidents involving his drivers, saying, "I think you can justify both punishments, so we are going to look at that and how we can prevent it in the future." What do you think? Is Toto Wolff turning a new leaf after his harsh comments about Max Verstappen? And do you agree with Lewis Hamilton being a beacon of sportsmanship for Formula 1, despite his own negative comments about the Dutchman? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.